What if I told you that the person you've been waiting for all your life could already be on their way, and that you might miss them without even realizing it? There are subtle signs that Allah sends to guide you toward this meeting, signs that your heart feels before your mind even understands. In this video, you'll discover how to recognize the soulmate who is meant for you, how to feel that inner peace that never lies, and why, once you meet them, you should never let them go. Sometimes you walk alone in life, not just physically, but internally, where no one can see your wounds, your questions, your shattered hopes. You spend years searching, hoping, doubting, wondering if what you're waiting for will ever come true. And in the silence of your heart, a question repeats itself, a small voice that doesn't dare cry out, but never fades. What if I never recognize the person Allah has destined for me? What if I let what was written for me pass me by without even seeing it? This doubt is not a weakness, as never consider it that way. Every moment of uncertainty, every night you lie in prayer with a knot in your chest, every tear that slips unnoticed, all of this is preparation. Allah is shaping your heart, gently, silently, like a potter taking his time molding clay. He knows that the person he has destined for you will not come until your soul is ready to recognize them, to welcome them fearlessly, unconditionally, with a pure and open heart. And sometimes you don't notice anything. You keep moving forward, thinking everything is normal, thinking that loneliness is something forgotten, something missing. But in reality, every moment you feel alone, every trial you go through, every prayer you whisper in the privacy of your room, all of this is a light that Allah lights for you, a light that prepares you to recognize that soul when the time comes. Because the encounter you are waiting for is not limited to a face or a smile. It is a peace that descends, a tranquility that nothing in the world can offer, an inner certainty that says, you are where you were meant to be. Your heart knows now. The truth is, when a kind heart enters your life, it's not like fireworks in the sky. It's not a burst of light that makes you lose your mind. It's a silent rain after a long drought. It's a gentle breeze that crosses your soul and sweeps away all the dust of your doubts. It's a feeling you can't explain, but it transforms you from the inside out. You feel that your heart can finally breathe, that your mind can finally rest, and that your soul recognizes what it has always been seeking. And yet, even in this calm, you may hesitate. You may ask yourself, is this really it? Or is this just an illusion of my heart that wants to believe? This hesitation is natural. Allah never rushes you into something. He lets your heart taste the truth slowly, so that when certainty arrives, it is complete. Every smile exchanged, every sincere word, every moment shared with that person is a subtle sign that your soul picks up before your mind. If you learn to listen to that inner whisper, you will see what so many others ignore. That true signs are never loud. They are silent, gentle, yet irresistible. There is also a beauty in preparing alone. In this solitude, you learn to know yourself. You learn what makes your heart beat, what makes it tremble, what soothes it, and what lifts it up to Allah. And when the right person arrives, you recognize them not just by their smile or their words, but by the way they resonate with your soul. You feel that your prayers have been heard, that your lonely nights were not in vain, that your heart has never been forgotten. Everything you went through wasn't just waiting. It was divine preparation so that you could welcome what your heart was ready to receive. So there you stand, on the brink of a change you don't yet see, but your soul senses. And you slowly realize that everything you've endured, all the patience you've exercised, all the silent tears, all the whispered prayers, all of it has led you to this moment. For Allah never rushes. He never places someone in your life before your heart is ready to see the truth, to recognize the light He has prepared for you. And in that silent waiting, in that invisible preparation, your heart begins to understand what your eyes do not yet see. It knows that the true gift does not come as a sudden shock. It arrives as a breath of peace, an inner relief, a certainty that transforms your soul before you even touch what you've been waiting for. And it is there, exactly there, that you must remain attentive. Because the next time you feel that peace in your heart, you will know it is no accident. You will know that Allah has placed someone in your path, and that your soul, finally ready, is about to recognize them. Imagine this precise moment. You're walking through life, perhaps distracted by your own thoughts, or overwhelmed by the weight of trials, and suddenly, something changes. It's not a spectacular event. It's not a flash of lightning or a scream. It's subtle, almost imperceptible. But your heart recognizes it even before your mind. You've crossed paths with someone, and your soul feels at home. No artifice, no effort to impress or please. You don't wonder if you're good enough, interesting enough, worthy enough. Because in this encounter, judgment disappears. The masks fall of their own accord, and what remains is a feeling of familiarity that defies logic. As if you have already shared 1,000 lives before this one. As if your souls are remembering something your hearts have forgotten. You don't know why, you don't yet understand how, but every gesture, every look, every word exchanged seems already written, already known. There's a fluidity to this presence, a natural rhythm that doesn't feel forced. The silences aren't heavy or awkward. They're soft, like a pause in a melody that makes you breathe deeply. The words become simple, precise, yet charged with a depth you've never felt before. You don't need to say much to feel what's essential. And in these moments, you begin to perceive something greater than yourself, something divine. Because you're not the one forcing the path. You slowly realize that this encounter, this inexplicable harmony, this recognition of the soul, is orchestrated by Allah. He opens doors you didn't even see. He traces invisible paths your mind can't comprehend. Everything you thought was chance, everything you called coincidence, begins to reveal a greater plan. Every smile exchanged, every gesture of mutual understanding, every moment of shared silence becomes a sign, a subtle reminder that your heart is not mistaken when it senses the truth. And yet, even when everything seems perfect, your heart hesitates. Because the human soul is afraid to believe in perfection. It is afraid of the unknown, afraid that this unexpected happiness is only an illusion. But it is precisely in this doubt that you must listen. Listen to the inner whisper that only faith can hear. If you learn to feel this quiet flow, this silent connection, you will understand that this is not just an encounter with a person. It is an encounter with divine guidance, an extension of Allah's mercy into your life. Emotion then mix, astonishment, gratitude, humility. You may feel a thrill, realizing that everything you have experienced so far, the lonely nights, the silent prayers, the past mistakes, the broken hearts, has prepared you for this precise moment. Your soul needed to purify itself, to prepare itself, to acknowledge what it needed to acknowledge. And now it does. You realize that every tear shed, every disappointment, every hesitation had a purpose, to enable you to clearly see what destiny had in store for you. And the more you observe this presence, the more you understand there is wisdom in this fluidity. The person you meet doesn't come to fill a material or emotional void, but to reflect what your heart was ready to see, what your soul was ready to feel. They become a spiritual mirror, a silent reminder that everything you were seeking was never absent. It was simply waiting for the right moment. And that moment is when your heart and mind are ready to fully receive it. Imagine the power of this silent acknowledgement. A simple presence becomes a balm for the wounds you thought were incurable. A conversation, even a short one, becomes a light that illuminates the dark corners of your soul. You feel your heart breathe again, your mind calm, and your soul begin to understand the perfection of God's plan. It's a reminder that Allah's guidance is never absent, even in chaos or loneliness, and that when He sends someone into your life, it is always to bring you closer to inner peace. And then you understand. This bond, this reconnection of souls, is not simply a human encounter. It's a call to open your heart, to listen to the subtle signs, to understand that sometimes silence, calm, and someone's presence can be more revealing than 1,000 words. And it is precisely at that moment that you realize that what you are experiencing is not the result of chance, but the fruit of a divine orchestration that is patient, meticulous, and infinitely benevolent.
You may be wondering, deep down, if this person you've met is truly what your heart was waiting for, or if your mind is playing tricks on you. You're not alone in asking this question. Many face this dilemma. The heart recognizes something, but the mind doubts. And yet, there are keys. Simple, silent, yet powerful questions that your soul already knows how to hear. First, does their presence bring your soul closer to your Creator, or does it turn you away from it? Gently ask this question to your heart. Don't be fooled by fleeting emotions or the allure of appearances, because Allah never places someone in your path to make you forget who you are. On the contrary, He uses this encounter to draw you closer to Him, to awaken your conscience, to teach you to walk with faith in love and respect. If this presence makes you more patient, more sincere, more attentive to your soul and your prayers, that's a first sign. If, on the contrary, you feel a spiritual weight, an inner tension, a constant distraction, it's a silent warning that something isn't aligned with what your heart truly needs to recognize. Second, is this relationship a burden or a light? Ask yourself this question honestly, without lying to yourself. True divine guidance doesn't tire your heart to the point of breaking it. It doesn't make you doubt yourself, your choices, or your values. On the contrary, it illuminates your steps, clarifies your thoughts, and makes you stronger in faith and in love for what is right. If you feel an inner peace, if you sense a lightness in your being when you are by your side, then you are probably on the path your soul has always recognized. If every interaction becomes a struggle, if every gesture becomes a source of anxiety, then you must listen to what your heart whispers to you. For the love that Allah places on our path is always accompanied by profound peace. Third, is your anxiety increasing, or is your heart finding rest? Here again, be honest with yourself. The truth lies not in words, but in what your body and mind feel. Your heart is a barometer. When you are with the right person, you feel an inner relaxation, a soothing silence after the tumult of the days, a serenity that makes you say, "This is where I was meant to be." If every encounter provokes tension, worry, or doubt, if every conversation leaves your mind exhausted and your heart heavy, then this is not the guidance you were meant to receive. Sometimes the soul recognizes the right person even before reason can explain why. Now, these questions may seem simple, but the depth of their responses is what many ignore. They are not superficial thoughts. They are inner revelations. They manifest themselves in moments of silence, in whispered prayers at night, in the way your heart beats when you think of that person without being forced to. These are signs that only your heart can read,
and that only a conscious soul can understand. And there is something even more subtle: consistency over time. Allah's signs are not fleeting. They do not disappear with a bad day or a passing conflict. If this person is truly a divine gift, you will notice that despite trials, despite human imperfections, you continue to feel inner peace. Even after an argument or a difficult moment, your heart naturally returns to serenity. It knows that it is not human perfection that matters, but the guidance and mercy that accompany this relationship. There is also another silent but powerful indicator: your instinct for spiritual protection. When Allah places someone in your path, you feel a natural inclination to preserve that connection, but not out of fear or selfish attachment. You want to protect the light this encounter brings to your soul, because it nourishes your faith, fuels your patience, and pushes you to become better. You don't just feel fleeting emotions, you recognize divine guidance in the way this relationship transforms your heart and mind. And if you still doubt, listen to the moment when you are alone, far from all noise, when you can finally hear your heart. These questions then become echoes in your soul. Is this where I was meant to be? Is this person illuminating me? Is this what my heart has been waiting for so long? And sometimes the answer doesn't come immediately through a word or a conscious thought, but through a lingering feeling of peace, clarity, and inner confidence. You know the moment is approaching when your heart begins to remember its wounds, not to make you suffer more, but to prepare you to understand what you are about to receive. Because Allah never leaves a wound open without reason. Every pain, every loneliness, every moment when you thought no one heard you, all of it has been meticulously orchestrated to guide you toward that invisible yet tangible present. The person your soul will recognize as a balm, a healing, a reminder of divine mercy. Do you remember the nights you prayed silently, hands raised, throat tight, eyes moist, simply asking Allah to grant you guidance and peace? Every tear shed was not in vain. Every word whispered in the secret of your heart prepared your soul to recognize that face when the right moment arrived. Because Allah knows that what you were looking for wasn't simply someone to fill a void, but a mirror for your soul, a light that reveals the hidden strength you've always carried. When this person enters your life, you feel a silent healing. It's not a spectacular miracle that attracts everyone's attention, number. It's subtle, like a breath clearing the dust that has accumulated in your heart. The scars you thought were permanent begin to soften. You feel a calm you've never known before, a sense of spiritual rest that defies understanding. You find yourself smiling for no apparent reason, breathing deeply, feeling a peace that simply says, it was all planned. You are exactly where you were meant to be. And it's not just your heart that heals. It's your mind, your soul, your very perception of life that transforms. You begin to understand that every pain, every loneliness, every moment you doubted yourself or humanity was part of a greater divine plan. Everything was a preparation, a purification, an opening of your heart so that you could welcome what you had long awaited, fearlessly and unconditionally. You begin to perceive life differently. Trials are no longer just obstacles. They become lessons, invisible steps you have climbed to reach this precise moment. And there is this silent magic in the simplicity of gestures. A smile, a glance, a sincere word. Nothing grand, but each interaction becomes a reminder of Allah's mercy. You notice the details you would have ignored before, and the way she listens without judgment, how she respects your silence, how she knows exactly when your heart needs to be heard without you having to utter a word. These little things are not simply human kindness. These are signs, subtle clues, echoes of the divine guidance that had been promised to you long ago. You also find yourself reflecting on the wounds of the past and seeing them from a new perspective. The disappointments, the broken hearts, the mistakes you thought irremediable. You understand that they were never failures, but preparations. They polished your heart, refined your discernment, taught your soul to welcome kindness with gratitude and awareness. And now, before this person, you feel a profound gratitude. A gratitude not only for what is before you, but for everything that has brought you here. Everything that has shaped you, weakened you, tested you. All of it becomes clear, precious, necessary. And there is this strange but beautiful feeling. You feel complete without having to hold on, because you understand that this encounter is not the final goal. It is a step, a reminder, a sign that Allah is always present in the invisible details of your life. You feel that true healing comes from within, but that it can manifest itself through the bond you share with this soul. Because when two hearts are aligned by divine will, every moment becomes a silent lesson. Patience, humility, gratitude, trust. You begin to see that true love is not a chaotic or blind emotion, but a mirror of Allah's mercy. And in this recognition, a part of you opens that you thought was forever closed. A part of you that was afraid of making a mistake, afraid of hoping, afraid of suffering again, begins to breathe freely. Because you know, deep down, that this bond is a manifestation of divine guidance. It's not something you found by chance. It's not a coincidence that your paths crossed. Every step you took, every prayer, every tear, every moment of patience has prepared you for this precise moment. Imagine yourself walking alone in the dark of night. The silence is thick, almost palpable. You can't see the path ahead. You grope your way forward, each step echoing on the ground, each breath seeming to hang in the air. And then, suddenly, something changes. A small light appears on the horizon, fragile, flickering, but it's there. A glimmer that doesn't promise immediate answers, but it does promise a path, a direction. This is exactly what Allah does when He sends the right person into your life. This person doesn't appear as a noisy miracle or a firework that attracts everyone's attention. Number. They are that soft but persistent light, that lantern that twinkles in the darkness of your existence, guiding you step by step, helping you find your way when you thought you were lost. At first, you don't know exactly where it's leading. You continue to move forward hesitantly, but you feel you can't ignore this light. You feel your heart begin to turn towards her, your mind beginning to understand that there is a greater purpose behind every encounter, every smile, every shared silence. Every step you take alongside this person becomes clearer, more certain. And with each step, the light from the lanterns grows brighter, not because the path has become easy, but because your heart begins to recognize the guidance. You sense there is divine protection, an invisible thread you cannot see but can feel, connecting your steps to a destiny prepared by Allah from the beginning. And this light doesn't just illuminate you alone, it also reveals your own heart. It reveals the dark corners you thought hidden forever, the wounds you thought forgotten, and the strengths you never recognized within yourself. The person you meet hasn't come to fill a superficial void. They haven't come simply to soothe loneliness or fulfill a passing desire. She came to reveal to you what your soul already contained, but which you had not yet identified. She came to show you that your heart has the capacity to love sincerely, to walk with someone towards Allah, to protect and nourish the light you share together. She is a spiritual mirror, a reflection of the patience, trust, and divine mercy that resides within you. And then there are the details that seem insignificant but are laden with meaning. A smile exchanged when your mind is weary, a gesture of silent understanding when your words fail, a hand extended even when you don't ask for it. Each small action becomes another lantern on your path, illuminating not only the world around you, but also your inner self. You begin to perceive that the love Allah places on your path is never chaotic or blind. It is carefully organized, precise in every gesture and encounter, and designed to guide you, bring you closer to peace and clarity, and prepare you to receive what your soul has always sought. You notice that the light is constant, but never still. It flickers sometimes, but always, to remind you of the beauty of patience and the necessity of spiritual vigilance. Every hesitation, every doubt, every fear you feel becomes a moment when you must cling to the light, to that invisible guidance, to that thread of divine mercy that never fades. Because Allah never leaves you completely in the dark. Even when you can't see the end of the path, even when the future seems uncertain, the light is there. It shows you that you are on the right path and that you are never truly alone. And gradually, you begin to understand a profound truth. This person, this light, this path is not just an encounter. It is a living reminder that your heart is capable of great things, that it can love sincerely, that it can forgive, that it can walk with faith and courage even when the world seems dark. That true guidance is not just recognizing the person, but seeing in that encounter the reflection of Allah's mercy and wisdom in every detail of your life. At that moment you realize there's no turning back. The light has revealed something within you that you cannot ignore. And even if you don't yet know the full direction of the path, you know you're no longer lost. Because Allah in His infinite wisdom placed those lanterns for you. He sent that person not to fulfill you, but to reveal, guide, and awaken all that your heart already held within. And now you walk with that light step by step, ready to discover the next signs, the next revelations, and never let go of this divine guidance. Life sometimes sends us hidden gifts, and this person could be one of them. Stay tuned for the signs, listen to your heart, and above all, never let fear or doubt make you turn your back on what Allah has prepared for you. If this video touched you, share it with someone who is waiting for guidance. And subscribe to continue exploring these spiritual messages that transform our lives.